crewmate from Among Us.
I feel like the number of frames in the Among Us animation is too few even for Link to the Past, but what do I know? Both players
During
opening
a
up.
practice run last night, and I kind of liked it. Also, Cane of Berna in Link's house.
Not necessary, but that'll probably come in handy at some point, especially if no better weapons turn up in the near future. You could get a surprising amount done with just a cane.
And Shadyforce gets a full magic drop, so if he wants to, he could probably do Cane of Berna Escape.
And frankly, Cane of Berna Escape isn't that bad. Alaszun picking up the small magic pots under the small magic under the pots, and there's every chance that he'll actually get a drop as well in fairly short order.
Chat correcting me, Freya has actually been in the Sprite pool for longer than this weekend, apparently.
And both runners not interested in the in doing escape. SpeedGaming building up a 2-second lead in that so far, just on running efficiency, pumping against the wall here. Looks like Alaszun is going to do the same. If you alternate moving down and moving down to the left against a wall, you can pick up 1 extra pixel of movement every second frame. So it's a very marginal time save, but might as well.
Yeah, if you've got budget to replace the controllers you were out doing it, sure. We do get bombs from the bush crab. Nice.
Yeah, 1 bomb. It's enough. Alaszun skipping the lumberjack check and going straight to Lost Woods, finds the mirror there.
There's a sword on lumberjack.
It's annoying. That might incentivize the runners to do Aga a little bit earlier than they otherwise would, just because people often like to defer it until the very end, and often have to, because the Castle Tower doesn't turn up. But just to get the refill before fighting Ganon. But if there's a sword there, you might actually be tempted to go get that.
Zone. Saving and quitting and going to Link's house here. Oh, gonna use the bushes here to farm bombs. That square of 4 in the middle of the arrow of bushes here. Each of those squares has a 50% chance, I believe, to produce a bomb.
It's only 2 of them, so it's that one and the one to the right. So it's on average 1 bomb per trip here. And I feel like Alaszun walked past a bush crab. In fact, he did walk past a bush crab, and so is paying quite a lot of time for not checking the bushes.
And now he's going to come up the opposite direction through Kakariko Village here. Bombs on race game, just to kind of rub it in just that little bit further.
Yeah, and frankly, the time to do race game is less than the amount of time you spent farming bombs. So, oops. I understand why it happens. It's unfortunate.
Nothing too interesting from Blind's basement here, apart from a heart container. We'll see what else Kakariko has in store for us. So far, it's just been a bunch of rupees, a couple of compasses, and a heart container.
Yeah, that mirror is an interesting thing to turn up early. This is not the sort of mode where you can do a whole lot of bunny walking, and so it's probably not going to be useful for some time. But it does mean when Dark Access does turn up, you're immediately going to be able to route much more efficiently by doing combination mirror checks. Since that might mean that you put off certain light world checks in the hope that you're going to be able to later do them more efficiently. And there's one part of the Dark World access puzzle, which is the Moon Pearl in the well here.
And Shadyforce did gather up 100 rupees here. Pays off the bottle vendor for some very expensive arrows.
Happens. You're I don't even feel bad as a runner, right? Like, it's just it was something you got to do.
Yep. Yeah, because the one time you don't is the one time that's going to have your go mode on it. Well, not necessarily go mode, because if you put off bottle vendor until your last check, that's a whole nother kettle of fish there. But yeah, if you put it off long enough and something's important on there, yeah, you'll never skip it again.
The runners are moving opposite ways to CAC because of Alaszun's diversion to go farm bombs at the entrance to the Grove. So we're going to see a bunch of repeat checks here. Where are you going next, Wes?
Where would I go next? I'd probably go do South Shore at this point. I mean, you could make an argument for Eastern. I mean, the light room or the dark rooms in there aren't really all that hard to conquer, and it's got about the same amount of item density as South Shore.
Yeah, it takes a long time to walk through Eastern, and you'd rather not double dip it, but which is an argument in favor of South Shore. Just a heart on the island. Probably only getting 19 today.
Alaszun choosing to buy some bombs from the lakeside shop here.
I think that's an efficient deployment of resources. You're not going to go to Zora for a while. It's not in logic yet. Money will turn out, and that's certainly much faster than going and farming bushes again.
Yeah, and we will have the option to Houlihan if we need to. Looks like shadyforce is gonna go with my first instinct, which was the South Shore checks here. Green Pendant, Dark Palace.
Of course, that matters less than usual today because we do have to beat all the dungeons.
We do find flippers and the big key to Desert in Saha's closet, and then we also find a big key to Skull Woods in the Drained Reservoir.
So remember how I said we weren't going to Zora anytime soon? Those flippers bring Zora into logic. I think we're still not going to Zora anytime soon, but we get to feel bad about it when we eventually get there, if there was something.
Let's see here.
So, with Cane of Burna and bombs, this mini Moldarm shouldn't be too bad. Shadyforce gets done with 3 bombs, which is perfect. Really nicely done. Even gets refill.
All key to Hyrule Castle. So that puts us a fire rod away from having all of escape in logic.
Yeah. You kind of hope that the stuff to get to the back of escape doesn't turn up, or you can you find a glove, because doing all of the back of escape it's tedious. But occasionally, I've seen both gloves back there, and I have to do it.
Yeah.
Or at least the mandatory first glove back there.
Meanwhile, don't quite see what we found in the cannonball room in Eastern. We do get a small key to Gan's Tower on the right side of Eastern, though.
All right. So shadyforce has found precisely nothing. I mean, he's got some small keys, but they're not immediately useful. So I think his obvious next play is to follow in Alaszun's footsteps here.
Yep.
So let's keep an eye and see if Alaszun is actually going to find something useful. Those flippers they're kind of annoying, in terms of items to find.
So there's a powder, which once we get Dark World access, we will then have access to the Magic Bat already with that mirror. But we need Dark World access first, and, well, considering the other item we can use to get to the Magic Bat is one of the items we could find to give us Dark World access.
Yeah, it is worth remembering. It's one of the more inconvenient checks to do, because you have to abandon your portal to get to the bat with the mirror, but it's in logic. So Don't forget. Alaszun using a bomb to do some wave dark here. Makes the dark room a little bit easier. Not that, as Wes said, the Eastern dark rooms are amongst the easiest ones in the game.
Yep. Not even the damage, the difficulty multiplier of doing it swordless is much of an issue for the Eastern rooms, or at least the lower Eastern room that leads to the vanilla big key chest there that Alaszun just grabbed. Doing the upper room is a bit harder, but
even then, triggering the aggro and shooting him in the face is something that a lot of these winners can do.
Yep.
No wayfinding at all. So Alaszun is now off to do the South Shore. And one of the arguments for doing this after Eastern is that you can do the flipper checks much more easily after after the South Shore run, if you have to do fake flipper. And if you have the flippers, you can just run to Link's house and just jump off the side. So Shady's going to get actually a little bit bailed out by finding the flippers, in some sense.
So let's see here. What we have left at this point now is the Zora's Domain checks and the camper under the bridge. We also have Agina's cave and escape.
Yep. At least parts of the front of escape, up until the key drop.
This is true, but that is still 3 checks our runners could do in escape, logically at the moment. I will also point out, as a personal aside, that I wouldn't be surprised if there was something in Agina's cave, because it always seems to be that check that has something when you least expect it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the last check that people make for a reason. It's in the middle of flipping nowhere, and it takes forever to get over there, and it's one check. And so, in a lot of ways, I don't feel bad if that's where the critical item is, because nobody else, nobody's diving Agina early. I lied.
Gotta love it when you go to say something as a commentator and one of the runners immediately proves you wrong.
So Alaszun might get to feel very clever here. This is a not crazy routing, I think. I don't know. It's certainly bold.
Yeah, again, this is one of those things that either makes you look silly or makes you look like the smartest person in the world.
Yeah.
And that just makes you look silly, which never feels good.
I don't know how many seconds this is actually ultimately going to cost, depending on how Alaszun routes.
It does put him in a position to, never mind, he can't easily Houlihan right now because we found those flippers and we do not have the gloves. I was about to say, if he Houlihans, he'll be right up against Zora money, but...
Yeah, and even the more convoluted strats get Houlihan. A lot of them require the boots.
Well, the camper just has 300 rupees for us, so yeah, about that Zora money.
Job done. Alaszun doing some tricksy routing here, starting at Sanctuary and using the town portal to get to Ice Rod Cave. With flippers in hand. I don't actually know if it's faster. I assume it is because he's doing it. But a rarely seen maneuver. I assume he's now going to walk around to, or I don't know.
Swim down.
Yeah.
Thinking on what you would have to do to get here on foot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that portal is going to be slightly faster to get to Ice Rod. Because to go from Link's house, you'd have to walk all the way down to Dam, over to through southeastern Hyrule here.
I mean, Ice Rod Cave is just about the farthest thing in the world from Link's house. So.
Yep.
On the other hand, Alaszun is giving away all of his time that he gained by being clever, swimming into a wall. Oops.
This is going to pay off for him, though. He's going to get 300 rupees here from the camper and be able to head up to Zora's Domain and full clear it.
Even with the flippers, Alaszun has it's so far his muscle memory to walk around that campfire to jump back in the river.
Yep.
Fake flippered that he does it anyway.
Might as well keep your muscle memory sharp on that one.
I think it's probably a couple of frames faster not to do it, but it's very marginal. It's just abusing me. It looks like both the runners are off to Zora's Domain. And so at this point, I think Alaszun is just stone cold ahead because he's already gone to Agina and Shady hasn't.
So Shady actually was doing Agina while you were discussing
all right, so he's just stone cold ahead by 20 seconds. 10.
Find our first castle tower key and hammer in Waterfall there. So we are now just looking for the power glove to be able to head to the Dark World here.
And given that the hammer of itself does not get you very many places, it does get you back. That is a much less effectual check at this point than the glove is. But it does mean when we do unlock Dark World access, we are going to all of a sudden once again be in a sort of very open situation.
Yes. I'll just type this. Sorry. Okay. Oh, and there's our other castle tower key. Uh-oh.
We get out of doing castle tower hunt at the end of this.
Yeah, but having both castle tower keys this early implies some things. I'm not sure if I like those things, considering we also know that one of our swords is locked behind Lumberjack.
I'm not too sad until the cape turns up. And in fact, a sword. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, we do eventually need to do Aga 1 because it is all dungeons, which does include defeating Aghanim 1. But you usually want to put that off for as long as possible.
I disagree. Either you want to put it off until just before Ganon, or you want to get it out of the way. Because actually having the portal to the Dark World on the bridge is reasonably useful. And, like, for instance, just after doing Escape would be a fine time to do Aga 1, because you're already in the area, the portal is useful in the medium term, it gets you to the pyramid, which is not otherwise out-of-the-way location. So I think for me, the question is, can I put off Aga forever? Like, literally forever, until the end of the game? Or should I just do it?
Yeah, chat pointing out also it would be lampless, which... A lot of cards would have to fall in place for the Aga play to happen, and I completely forgot about.
I have faith in these guys' ability. I've in fact seen them both do Aga Tower in the Dark. So,
okay. Alaszun turns in the powder and finds our first bottle of the seed, which he's probably immediately going to take over to the Lazy Kid and see what the Lazy Kid gives us as a recycling credit.
Big key of this.
And Zeldazel is the fire rod, and yes, I just said Zeldazel. For those of you who were worried about that.
You have taken talking classes.
Yes. Me speak English good.
Well, you never shipped any of that. And it looks like Alaszun will make Set plays shady here.
All right, so that fire rod, as I think you mentioned, does put puts Dark Cross in logic. I don't think it can get us all the way back to back of escape, logically, but
I will admit that with a Hyrule Castle key in hand, which I at least said that they picked up earlier,
yep.
but isn't on our track.
Sigma thought it was a Castle Tower key.
Right. No, but I think it is literally not on our tracker anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised to see them do it anyway, in logic or no.
Yeah. Chat does confirm that it is back of the entirety of the back of escape is in logic with the fire rod. And well, there it is. All right. We're going to find something back here. Question is, what is it going to be? Well, there's your answer. It's the glove. We now have Dark World access.
With high probability, that's a mandatory doing the escape from the front. Shadyforce, listening to my commentary from earlier, was like, this is a great time to go do Aga. Which it would be if he could get in the door.
Yep.
And in fact, defeat the evils that is the curtain.
I mean, it's a curtain. Unless it's made out of asbestos, we do have a fire rod. But
no, they didn't code that into the game.
Dang it.
So Shadyforce making the, I want to say, prototypical Dark World play. Most convenient portal, most convenient 5 items. Let's go get them. Not sure what hugging the bad guys was about.
There's a little bomb refill there. And small key to skull and 10 arrows. Not very hype. I mean, half a heart container is good, but for Shadyforce, he was probably kind of hoping one of those gave him a refill. So
yeah, walking around in the Dark World with 2 hearts green mail is not super safe, especially without a sword. But we watched him, or I watched him do some spoiler log races a few weeks ago with 7 hearts through the entire game, so he'll be all right.
Yeah, most players especially in the invitational half of the league this season are going to be more than capable of doing Dark World low percent. Whether they really want to do it is another question entirely. Looks like our stun prize is a never mind, it's bombs.
That was an annoying amount of menuing to stun prize. With Shadyforce wants the part, doesn't care about that map. With this being an all done in the seed, the map information, which is already somewhat marginal, is even less important.
Yep. All right.
That being said, it is not uncommon for pendant dungeon stuff to be locked behind.
Shady, you're 5 rupees short of this, buddy. Turn around. There we go.
Go.
He's doing it. He's gonna play the archery game for 5 rupees.
The fastest solution to his problems.
Fair. Accurate.
And one of the important things to do when you make a mistake in life, as well as in past, is to not just immediately bail entirely, but to improve the situation given the mistake you've already made.
Righty. So, now we'll see the digging game here.
We don't need maps. On the other hand, this didn't take very long.
Yeah. All that build up for a one dig map. Nice.
Shovel rental did not go very far. Shadyforce forgetting that the power gloves are not the Titan's mitts, and having to mirror back over to Light World. Only to walk across Kakariko, make a big loop-de-loop, and head back into the Dark World.
Is going to take the opportunity to grab this powder, this bottle from the magic vat, and turn that in for nothing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something irrelevant. But the bat and the stick can turn in, I think will be slightly more on the way for Shadyforce than they were for Alaszun. So this represents a marginal gain for Shadyforce. Alaszun even more short of digging up a map, but presumably will remember to go to the archery game directly. Or not. There we go. So runners are 0 for 2 at looking at the rupee counter before going to the digging game.
Well, to be fair, it's kind of hard to remember that the dig game actually costs rupees, because usually you just have that amount of rupees by the time you get there in Dark World.
Yep, I'll agree with that.
So it's just kind of automatic that you just kind of go, okay, let's go do dig game. I got rupees, we're fine.
Alaszun, having decided to walk in here, going to go for round 2 of archery.
This will give him enough money to go into Palace of Darkness when we get access to that. Could also be, spare money for a potion, possibly.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I guess it's worth keeping an eye on his rupee counter and see if he ever gets into that second archery game worth of money.
This definitely looks like he's thinking. He's thinking about farming something here. He's going to go ahead and do some digging in the archery game here. I believe you can just get rupees and magic out of this. Nothing else pops up during digging. Alaszun
showing off not an NMG runner digging game strats there, I think. Shadyforce, meanwhile, showing off Among Us skins Death Sprite, which turns out that one was easy to code in. Taking an accidental death in Skull Woods, where you guys proceeded to from Kakariko.
And we did find the small key of Turtle Rock in the big chest of Skull Woods. I say the small key, I mean a small key. Gonna have to try and bait this Gibdo out here. Does successfully get the Gibdo to get out of his way. Oh, there's our big key of Evil's Bane. We're gonna need that.
Someday. Not. Man, a bunch of big keys in here.
Yeah.
So that TR small key is logically required to the game. But often can be left behind.
All right. Wow, this is a Skull Woods full of big keys. Ice Palace, Turtle Rock, and Ganny's Tower, all found in Skull Woods here today.
And one of these things, not as useful as the others.
You say that, and then something's going to be in the Ice Palace big chest.
Indeed. Shadyforce opting out of heading to Skull Woods 2 in favor of failing. With no sword in hand, Skull Woods 3 isn't completable. So it looks like he's going to come down here and attack Elizabeth Cast first.
Yeah, and Skull Woods 2, he could potentially complete, but it's rather annoying with no magic to really do anything about the Gibdos whatsoever. And would have to play Ring Around the Gibdos and avoid the Wallmaster and pull that statue. So yeah, I can understand why he's leaving it alone for now.
Yeah, on the other hand, does that mean he should have just done Village of Outcasts before he did Skullwoods in the first place? As Alaszun is trying
to do. In Key Sanity, I could make an argument for either way, because that was let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 checks he was able to do, all of which could have
because of the big chest.
Okay, but so that's 5 pulls at anything we might need. Like,
Yeah,
yes, it turned out to be mostly big keys, but it could have been swords or a bow or
the big keys,
any number of things.
Right, so Shadyforce now doing, in fact, both runners doing the sort of cave-like check of the front of Thieves Town, treating these first 4 chests as Type Cave Junior, which is both an extremely common play and I think the right way to think about Shadyforce and Alaszun using different strats to get from the first chest to the second chest. The second chest to the third chest. I wish someone would time this and tell me what the correct answer is, but nobody has.
We do find the small key to Swamp here in the front of Thieves Town. So Swamp Palace will be accessible to us. Actually,
so with Flip's hammer mirror, small key. Yep. You get a lot of the checks out of Skullwoods, or out of Swamp Palace. But by golly, you don't want to do that and find the hookshot right afterwards. So I kind of expect the runners to put that off for a bit, just because it's so much better of a play with the shot in hand. Thoughts?
Agree, but at some point you also do have to realize you do have the ingredients to do it, and there's not a whole lot else that I can think of off the top of my head that's in logic.
If they can get into pod for a check.
Oh, that is flute on Bumper Cave.
I guess we're finding the cape.
I don't want to.
I mean, you gotta get to my
because it might because all I can think of is super gross locations, and I really don't want to curse the runners this early in the siege.
I mean, they're gonna get, there's no way you get out of a 80 key sanity with less than 190 checks, right?
So, ooh, Old Man on the Mountain also digging deep into the wallet there for 300 rupees for escorting him 30 feet. So we'll see what's on the mountaintop here. Reminder, this is not in logic because we have not found that lamp. And
or the cape.
We know...
The cape would put it in logic too.
Well, cape would indeed put it in logic, yes.
Which is not a thing I get to say very often, so I'm going to say it. And of course, with that mirror in hand from way earlier, we get to do the Tower of Hera on our first trip up here, just like Nintendo intended.
For a fairy here, not getting it.
I'm sorry, chat. If you want to see the bunny beam, the bunny sprite for Shadyforce, you'll have to wait until he finds himself a bunny beam. Alaszun, with some magic meter, is going to come do Skullwoods 2.
Yep. Able to roast the Gibdos and push and pull this statue in relative peace. Does have to bait out the Wallmaster once, but...
So, that's good patience by Alaszun. Lots of people would just head straight to pulling and then have to mess about trying to dodge the Wallmaster on the switch and dealing with the animation 3 times. Alaszun also remembering all of his toys, picking up the full magic pot in the refill room there, and powdering the bunny beam to get a fairy, which is smoothly done.
Shadyforce having a little bit of trouble with these dead rocks here. Also down to 1 heart and doesn't really want to reclimb Death Mountain. So just decides to kind of pop into Spiral Cave here.
Alaszun making the choice to go all the way through to Skullwoods 3 to get this one last check. It's a long walk for one check, but it's a good check.
I'd say, when you find the bow and arrow, you're probably not going to complain about that check.
That does make a potential pod play much more appealing.
Yes.
Now we can get 3 whole items. On the other hand, I'm still not excited about walking all the way through the long maze to get to pod multiple times.
Alright, so Shadyforce does receive a health refill from that piece of heart in Spiral, so for Shadyforce, that's got to feel worth it after nearly dying on the overworld here. Gonna go ahead and head into Paradox Cave, and then I would assume he's going to take another crack at finding out the information he was looking for in the first place when he got dead-rocked.
I do enjoy a seed where they do Spiral Cave before Paradox.
So, important note, we just found the lamp, which means we need to find that cape before Death Mountain is in logic.
Yes. That lamp pulls a lot of things into logic. I think that lamp logic is the logic you should ignore the most, because you should do dark rooms in a lot of cases. But the point, for instance, that the cape has to be somewhere not on the mountain, because we know it's locking the flute, is relevant. Because the flute's a really handy thing to have. So prioritizing places it could be, just a little bit in your decision making might be worthwhile.
And yeah, Shadyforce. We'll see how well Shadyforce handles that knowledge, because he did receive a pretty decent toolkit to continue being out of logic here. Found the shovel, found the Cane of Samaria, and found 1 Palace of Darkness small key in the upper reaches of Paradox Cave.
I am a little bit worried for him that he's going to leave this bow behind for a long time.
That is also true.
So, the bow being in the back of Skullwoods, he already having done the front, and until he finds a sword, preferably a couple of swords, Fighter Sword Moth is not really a fun time, is not really incentivized to go back to Skullwoods. There's not a lot of checks left. So it might be a while. Is this the hook-shotless Swamp Palace play?
It sure looks like it, yeah. Meanwhile, Alaszun heading up to Catfish here as he continues his journeys through the Dark World. I would assume this is going to end up at Palace of Darkness and Eastern.
Yeah. With Eastern being... They've already done Eastern, and without the big key, it's less...
I forgot Key Sanity. We don't have the big key yet. Sorry.
We're getting all the things tonight, Wes, this afternoon.
Yep. All right, so Reservoir drained, Swamp Palace accessible. Shadyforce gonna go ahead and see what pops up in Hook-shotless Swamp here.
Looks like Alaszun is going to make the mountain play. I don't know if they both... did Alaszun ever check Bumper Lich? I don't believe so.
Don't think so, no.
So that is an information advantage for Shadyforce, at least for the time being.
Oh, chat saying Alaszun did see that. And whoa boy, there is that cape in the first chest of Swamp.
There's a logical... So, I feel like the game gave us all the things to do this swamp check really early, I would be pretty tempted. Well, no, because we know that the cape is locking the mountain. I guess because the lamp location, it's less of a case of chasing up flute location. Right, this very front-loaded swamp supply kit is presumably gating the cape, which is gating the flute, gating the mountain, etc.
Yep. We looks like Shady's gonna just go ahead and clear this out while he's here. No reason not to, really.
There's literally no reason not to. The big cost was getting this far. There's almost nothing to be gained by deferring the full clear here to the second trip. I'd expect him to see him get every chest he can on this first trip, including that one.
Wow. French vanilla swamp palace big key. Nice. I mean, it could have been something nicer than 20 rupees in there, but hey, you do you, game. You do you.
I mean, at least it was French vanilla in the correct order. There's almost nothing more head shaking than the big key being in the back.
True. This is an accurate point. All right. So Shady goes ahead and collects that small key here.
Yeah. And
gonna go ahead, head to left side swamp.
The old-fashioned way.
Yep. Meanwhile, Alaszun going to receive the nothing that was in the first few bits of Terra here.
And without the hook shot in hand, cannot go upstairs the cheaty way. I feel like that hook shot is our one of our critical puzzle pieces that we haven't found yet.
Yeah, that opens up the ability to finish the dungeon Shadyforce is in right now. It allows us to skip through Hera a bit more efficiently. I would also expect to see Titans relatively shortly.
Yeah. Though the sort of biggest place that they unlock is Misery Mire, which is also gated by the hook shot, and all this other nonsense that we've been talking about. There's
First Sword of the Sea. And
a good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just the man. That first sword is a nice thing. Without the hook shot in hand, Shadyforce has to do the loop-to-loop version of left side swamp here.
Yeah.
Which. Gonna go pick up some safety hearts. Set into the room here. This is a relatively low % swamp dive.
It is. The other thing I would note that Titan's Mitts is going to give us access to is Ice Palace.
Yes.
That is potentially. I mean, it would be a painful fight, but it is potentially full clearable with use of Icebreaker. But we'll see. We'll see how things progress here as Shady finishes the hookless swamp dive. Honestly, can't really say that it wasn't worth it. We do find our first sword and a cape, which is going to allow us to go get that flute.
Alaszun did manage to leave Mini Moldarm Cave until now. So our earlier discussion about his South Shore routing, going left to go to Aganim instead of right to go to Ice Rod Cave, and then using the Sank portal to skip straight to Ice Rod Cave, did mean he left Mini Moldarm Cave behind for a long time, and didn't even manage to sort of do anything clever to link it up with some Dark World location. As it happens, didn't matter very much, but might have been unfortunate.
So it looks like we are going to see a Mir and an Aga 1 here from Shadyforce.
and Shadyforce showing off the correct place to mirror from. That left-hand side lines up nicely with the edge of the top of the tower, and so getting back through your portal is pretty easy. You don't have to walk up the stairs. It's the correct place to mirror. Do that.
I might have made an argument for quaffing your green potion here and using Bombos or Fire Rod.
Given you have 645 rupees and you're going to stop by somewhere that sells green potions at some point during the game? Yeah.
And Shadyforce just kind of reflecting on, wow, I probably could have done that for a few seconds there. Second bottle.
The fairy in a bottle is a useful thing to have, and with the mirror already in hand, they don't even have to worry about accidental fairy arrivals.
Is a bee in a bottle. And there's... Oh boy. So, Shadyforce going to head up Aga Tower here. Excuse me. And defeat Aghanim 1. Alaszun, meanwhile, hot on his heels, going into Hookless Swamp here, gonna receive that cape and his first sword, and then we'll see what Alaszun decides to do with that. If he makes a beeline straight for, oh, Alaszun saves and quits out of Swamp Palace. He's just going to immediately go grab the flute? Question mark?
No. Spike Cave.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not where I would go either.
That's pretty risky considering we don't have half magic and we only have one magic refill.
So where else is he going? Shadyforce showing off Fighter Sword being an inadequate weapon several more times during this Aga Tower climb. You have better toys, Shadyforce. You can use them.
Okay, an interesting decision here by Alaszun, which is probably going to shape the next little portion of this seed.
I do find it interesting that he got the cape, immediately bailed, and went to go do Spike Cave with the Cane of Burner.
You know, good point. Good point.
Don't know if I 100% agree with that collection of choices, but
yeah,
it's true, Jay Coper, that the flute doesn't make Spike Cave faster, but it's still a. If you've decided to leave Swamp because the cape gives you the flute, why are you going to Spike Cave? Like, what's the thing that doing Spike Cave now gets you that makes it pop?
Shadyforce, meanwhile, taking on Aghanim 1. Pretty nice Aghanim 1 so far, relatively speaking. We've had 3 consecutive balls we actually need to hit back at him. There's our first blue ball of the fight. This fight basically has a pattern. It's one guaranteed orange ball to hit back at Aghanim, or excuse me, oh boy, Aghanim. There we go.
There we go.
And then 2 50-50 shots, either blue or orange, blue being something you can't hit back, and then a lightning bolt, and then repeat. And the RNG was kind to our runners today on that fight. Only one blue ball that I saw.
And while we were busy being suspicious of Alaszun's decision-making, Shadyforce's decisions have worked out in that Titans were in there, in addition to the pyramid portal. A nice thing to have. Indeed.
So there's the save and quit to Link's house for Shadyforce. And Alaszun now going to grab that flute.
Shadyforce remembering to mirror to the light world before saving and quitting, now that he has beaten Aga 1. So one of the reasons not to beat Aga 1 early, it is that it makes the light world slightly harder, but also that it screws up your saving quits in the dark world.
So Alaszun is going to pick up that flute and immediately come back to Light World and activate it.
Oh, they can't get the second sword to find the boots. That's disappointing. Anytime you beat Aga 1 to unlock your sword and you haven't found boots to knock over the tree is a bit disappointing.
Shadyforce, actually I kind of like this. Shadyforce is going to go ahead and press that Titan's advantage that he got from Aga 1. And he's going to go ahead and do Ice Palace here. I mean, he knows where the flute is, he knows it's not going anywhere, and he knows that it doesn't really actually give him much he can do at the moment.
Logically, it gives him almost nothing.
Yeah.
That's not true. It gives him it gives him Desert Access as well as Mire Shed, which is slightly more than almost nothing, but not a tremendous amount.
So we do find the small key to Tower of Hera there, so Tower of Hera basement is now in play.
Yeah.
One ever check pyramid. Shadyforce did, and it was the third 300 rupee pack.
Alaszun making the very miserable one pod key pod play. Can't even stack this with an Eastern play because it doesn't have the Eastern big key. This is I'm kind of miserable if I'm Alaszun here. I am not convinced by that mirror after finding the cape in Swamp.
Yeah, that's gonna shape the middle of this game here, I think, because oh boy.
So we know that Shadyforce has left behind a bow in the back of Swamp. Sorry, the back of Skullwoods.
Yeah.
Someday I'll learn how to say those two place names.
Don't worry, I do it all the time too. So
the trackers don't help. The SW.
Yep.
And we know that Alaszun has left behind a sword in and something else in Swamp Palace. Neither one of those things is great.
Yeah, so Alaszun did choose to use the small key to enter the front door of Palace of Darkness, even though he has the bow and the hammer. So far has just received the small key to Desert. I'm almost wondering if this is going to be a save scum.
It could be. I don't know. The problem with save scumming is that you get your key back, but in order to use it, you have to go through the bow side again. So it's not super appealing.
This is a fair point.
Right? Nobody's excited about doing the bow side multiple times, especially given you only have the one pod key, right? So anything you get out of the back is out of logic, and is therefore marginally less likely to be.
So we did also find the big key to Mire on the Bowlock side of Palace of Darkness. Not really anything else there at the moment.
That Mire big key, it's pointing at something to do with your flute, but you're still a couple of items short of it actually helping.
Alaszun mirrors from Palace of Darkness, flutes back to 5, and then immediately goes Portal 5.
I think it's slightly faster than walking out. But yeah. This is the play to get the 2 chests out of Castle Tower. And no way to beat out Aga. I'll be interested to see if and when more swords turn out.
So meanwhile, Shadyforce I almost said Agana again instead of Aganim, which both are incorrect. He's at Cold Stare.
Yes. Alaszun using the slightly less good, I mean, actually, for what he's doing, totally reasonable right side mirror spot. Also remembering not to walk up the darn stairs. Don't walk up the stairs, people. Thieves Town, big key on Cold Stare. Thieves Town's a reasonable play to do next. I would be happy following that crumb trail. And while you're in the area, he might go pick up his flute.
I was about to say, especially if something, if like Master Sword happens to pop up in the back of Thieves Town.
And it's worth mentioning that Cold Stare setup with the Fighter Sword and Fighter Sword Fire Rod, for reasons that I cannot explain, the left side strat is apparently slightly more consistent, knocking the puffs to the left corner rather than the right corner with the Fighter Sword. I am not willing to dig into how ALTTP Cold Stare logic works for that to be true, but
so Alaszun gonna take a visit to the Capitalism Ferry here and get a bomb upgrade and an arrow upgrade.
yeah, I mean, you're in the area, get the money. There's zero game money that he just spent, basically. I do like the first bomb upgrade. 15 bombs is just a handy thing to have, right? It means you basically never run out. I feel like with 10, you run out just often enough to be annoying. You have to think about it. With 15, you're basically always.
So Shadyforce actually immediately heading back to Skullwoods here, and is gonna see what's going on.
Completable, right? Like,
yep.
I am not. I don't know if this is a decision that I would make, but I think it's a totally reasonable choice.
Yep.
Completable dungeon. Again, Fighter Sword Both is not super exciting, but it's better than Fighter Sword Cold Stare.
Yeah. We do have Hammer as well. That can damage Moth, although it is a little bit annoying to line up Hammer hits on Mothula in his boss arena. Shadyforce.
The Moth hitbox is so bad. So bad. I just needed to say that. And the Hammer hitbox is much better. So carry on saying useful commentary.
I mean, I wouldn't call most of my commentary useful. There is that bow for Shadyforce. What I was going to point out was Shadyforce's bottles have a B in them, which, I mean, is just basically memeing on Mothula and can, in some cases, make the fight actively worse.
He dumped his he dumped his B to get a red potion. Oh,
that's right. I was about to say, yeah, he has a red potion in his other bottle, but then you pointed that out. He dumped the B to get that red potion. So, I love how I made a self-deprecating joke and then immediately proved it correct. Boom! Onwards. And upwards, or downwards, depending on how you look at it.
Watching Alaszun's sprite wave his empty hand around, trying to get it to ice traversal there, just makes me sad for him.
Yeah, once he eventually gets back to Swamp and finds that sword, he's probably not going to be very happy.
No.
Speaking of not very happy, Shadyforce happened to line up hammer shots here on Moth. Does do tempered damage, but because of the way Link to the Past is coded, if Moth gets bunked into spikes off of damage, that damage doesn't count.
Yeah. As far as hacks go, so it is the case that there is spare space on the cartridge, and we know this because various ROM hacks, including Link to the Past Randomizer, use slightly more of the ROM than was originally used on the cartridge, and they still fit into the original RAM limits. It's the fact that they coded the spikes to be exactly Gold Sword damage and not some other workaround makes me sad. It's bad programming, Nintendo. Shadyforce does take a death there. That does give Alaszun back a little bit of time. Not a tremendous amount. It is a kind of obnoxious walk back here. And so I expect Shadyforce to put... I said this last time he abandoned Skullwoods. Put that off until he has a really good reason to come back.
Like, for example, it's the last boss he needs to kill. Before he heads up to Ganon's Tower. I will... I had something I wanted to add that was relevant, and now I've forgotten it. Oh boy. Shadyforce might be reconsidering something here? Is he gonna head back here and give Mothula another shot here? Is he gonna go grab the magic refill from the back here?
That's a long walk for some indecision.
Oh boy.
And I don't want to do this room just to go get a magic pot. Especially considering if you don't kill some enemies, there's a high chance it doesn't spawn.
Alright, that's going to give him enough to put the... Or not.
Yeah, so funny to chat as Shadyforce is maybe going to go fight Mothula again. It's deliberate that the spikes don't do damage. But the way that they made the spikes not do damage is they made the damage table that includes spikes and the gold sword not do damage to Moth. Because that's one line on his damage table. And I think it's the damage table for many objects, though it doesn't come up very much otherwise. Alaszun gives back the boss death, dying on Cold Stare. It's an even worse walk, frankly.
And he's just gonna save and quit and come back again later. Meanwhile, Shady's gonna go grab his flute here. And I did remember what I was going to say. I was going to kind of piggyback off your point about the randomizer using more the cartridge space, as it were, to plug the Advent calendar festive mode that started the other day. I've played the first 2 days of it myself. It's actually pretty fun so far. So if you're interested in the festive modes, you should definitely go give that thing a look. It's pretty marvelous.
Is it adventurous?
Good. That's way to immediately top calendar as a pun.
I couldn't resist. Shadyforce remembering to turn on his flute while he is in the area.
Nothing in Meyer Shed. And our 2 minutes and 58 seconds. The goose is loose, the duck is amuck, the pheasant is present, the dodo is go-go, the chicken is kicking, and there's a bunch of other puns that I'm sure the chat's going to put now that I've put that pun chain out into the universe. Again.
I'm afraid you don't know what the word pun means. All right, Alaszun making one of the plays that we talked about a while ago as things that were actually unlocked by the flute, which is this desert back. This desert from the back play. Desert big key in hand helps. Desert small key in hand helps. So there's actually a fair amount of meat here. It is an obnoxiously long walk without the boots, but what can you do?
All right. So Shadyforce following up this, and Alaszun using that desert small here. And actually, we found the desert big too. I just remembered. So
It's on the track. Thanks be to our tracker, which I believe is T Sigma tonight.
it is. Alrighty. So there's another House of Darkness small. gonna open up a few more checks in Palace of Darkness.
I feel like our collection of small keys is not the way that the collection of small keys usually works in Key Sanity Seed. The fact that Pod is the green pendant, and the keys are so late, makes me think that the randomizer put a bunch of them in GT, and so there's not going to be anything of particular interest in there at this point.
I can see it. All right. So, Shadyforce kind of quietly making his way through Thieves Town here. Not a whole lot of chests, but a lot of obstacles to navigate. Is going to have an opportunity here to powder a bubble beam to gain some of that health back. Also, a plethora of hearts available.
Yeah, it's convenient that they keep so much of their hospital in jail there. So for Alaszun's sake, we hope that there's something real good here at Landmark. I don't know what real good is at this point, but Ice Rod maybe to attempt to go to Turtle Rock, which has hopefully got something cool in it. Both the runners got dead rocked in their attempts to figure out which medallion would get them into Turtle Rock. Which is unfortunate.
And also unfortunate, just blue goo for Alaszun off of Lammo. So not really what you want. I mean, you're okay with seeing that. Don't get me wrong. It's a free blue goo, but it's not really anything that's helpful in the immediate short term. What is going to be helpful is that hook shot off of Blind.
Yeah, Shadyforce's blind fight didn't go perfectly. Blind did not die in the spot that Blind is supposed to die in, but it was fine. And hook shot solves a lot of Shadyforce's problem.
And there is Ether.
Oh,
oof.
At least Alaszun didn't completely duff the puzzle, but
yep.
When you're cheating at puzzles and you still can't manage to solve them on the first try, that's not a good sign.
All right. Flute and Mir gonna make quick work of the Smith's chain here, so Shadyforce gonna go ahead and clean that up as well.
So Alaszun is heading back into Ice Palace, which is, man, his choices suck. To go die of Cold Stare, which will get him the Thieves Town Big cheat, which maybe gets him the hook shot. No, I mean it does get him the hook shot eventually, but Alaszun needs, I think it's in the needs a miracle levels of behind at this point.
Because yeah, that decision to dip out of Swamp after finding that cape is just snowballing.
Yeah,
because Shadyforce has been able to turn that sword into an Aga clear, and it's just been snowballing from there.
It turns out that it's both logically required to get to beat Aga, and we make fun of the fighter sword as being a kind of a shitty sword. You know what it's way better than? No sword.
Yeah. So we get the purple chest here. I don't know why Shadyforce is walking this chest as opposed to mirroring and fluting, because I'm pretty sure he's done all of this already. We don't have the book to read to even read the tablet, much less get it even if we did have Master Sword. Oh, chat pointing out he can just finish Swamp from here, but he could have done that with the other method as well. It's probably about the same amount of time.
Yeah, it's marginal. This to me feels better. I feel the flute and then having to go back up and read Dark World. This is computationally easier, execution easier. Right.
If Alaszun finishes out this chain, it's gonna get him a long way of the way back into this back into competition here. But he's also gonna need to pair that up with something being in that Thieves Town big chest, because he did find the Thieves Town small in Palace of Darkness, if I recall.
We don't have it tracked. Alaszun does put his new and improved blue goo to use to get a second crack at having a magic meter. Kills Cold Stare with his last shot, so I can't make fun of him for not using bombos. And presumably is heading straight to Thieves Town.
Well, I mean, you couldn't make fun of him for not using bombos because he doesn't have a sword, as chat pointed out, because members of chat were also calling for bombos, including our tracker.
Yep, I believed our tracker. T Sigma, you're leading me astray
here. I mean, well,
Shadyforce's diver down, not going perfectly here, but
yeah, there we go.
Gets it done. Still faster.
T Sigma going, I feel like Alaszun should have a sword. I mean, we're sitting here from the commentary booth and the audience, and we have information that Alaszun does not. Now, that being said, yeah, the cost of just noping out immediately after that first chest in Swamp is a very high cost. But
the argument for doing it is that basically the game threw a whole bunch of stuff at you to go to Swamp. You found the cape, and you knew that the cape locked the flute. You know that the flute locks some collection of stuff. I think he might have even at that point known that it locked the lamp. And so you can convince yourself pretty easily that that's the thing that Swamp had in it to do all that stuff. But it turns out that this is rando, and sometimes there's two things.
Yeah. Like, from Alaszun's position of knowledge at the point that he made the play, I could understand thinking, hey, I think I might have this outsmarted, I'm just going to gamble that there's nothing else in here. Unfortunately, we know that to not be the case. Yeah.
I find that play really aggressive. Now, he might have already felt behind at that point and wanted to do aggressive. Right, so doing the slightly lower percentage play is correct in certain swamps. But the cost of getting into Swamp, I mean, there's a lot of walking in there, but you're going to do it sooner or later. And you've already gone through the front door, which is one of the really time-consuming steps. I don't like the downside risk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a gamble, and it didn't pay off, unfortunately.
Well, and it's one of the weird things about Link to the Past Randomizer is that if you do everything, if you want to full clear everything all the time, you lose. But almost all the choices you make have small upside, right? Every chest you skip is small upside, right? You save some number of seconds. That's usually not very many. At the potential downside risk of you lose the game, right? And so you lose 10 minutes, you lose 15 minutes, you even lose 5 minutes. That's a long time. That's an eternity. And so there are it's this really biased dice roll that makes it hard to, I think makes it hard to make the right choice. The fact that no other swords have turned up is mean, by the way.
Yeah.
And the boots. The fact that Shadyforce can't even go collect his second sword. Something. So an hour and a quarter into the game, with 2 crystals, Shadyforce, it turns out, has 2 crystals. That lets him, or 3 crystals, sorry. 4 dungeons complete. Has the ones that let him go to clear out the pyramid. And with the Aga portal, it's not even that much of a pain in the butt. So let's go do that.
We'll see if maybe one of those swords is hiding in here, or those boots.
And as a reminder, even if so, also knows about the sword on Lumberjack, but even if he had boots, does have to find sword number 1.
So he can kill Aghanim 1.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing in Pyramid Fairy.
It's disappointing for Shadyforce. I like to play. It's, you know.
Disturbing thought by chat there. Boots on Mothula, which Shadyforce has died to and has decided to leave alone for the time being.
That would be a good thing for Alaszun, though I don't know how excited he is about going back there.
Yeah, but like that only becomes painful if the other 2 swords are exactly on Ether and Pedestal, because we already know Bombos is a little piece of love. And of course, now that I've put that evil out into the world, watch as it is precisely that item arrangement.
There's some other really terrible places for these swords to be. There's a lot of checks they haven't gotten to yet, and a lot of checks that are locked by the things that were locked by the sword. So, you know, it's not very often that sword logic matters.
Yeah. All right, so Shadyforce is going to go ahead and clean up Desert here. Chat also pointing out the other 2 swords could indeed be locked behind Ganon's tower, which...
Though some of the ways that they might be locked behind Ganon's tower are logical and not actual. For instance, if they're in annoying chests in pod, locked behind some of the later pod keys, that might... It is still a bit suspicious that we've only found 2 pod keys.
Okay.
Alaszun having to do swordless line. Fight doesn't go quite as well as it usually does, but gets it done.
Oh. Okay. Apparently I'm just wrong. I could have sworn we'd seen the Thieves' Town small key somewhere, and I thought it was Palace of Darkness, but chat correcting me and going, not only has Alaszun skipped that, but I looked up as he was correcting his crystal, and he does not have a Thieves' Town small key. So, oops.
Yeah, I believe in T Sigma. Usually the trackers actually track what the runners have, and when they don't, we blame software. Shadyforce making the, I think, correct play to do the back of Desert first. It's pretty marginal, but...
Desert Small was in Palace of Darkness. That's the one I was thinking of.
Unfortunately, I don't believe anything's over there. So,
and then Meyer Big Key is also in Palace of Darkness.
Shadyforce will make his way to pod at some point. He's got 1 key, right? He's in no hurry to get over there, and I don't think that's a problem yet. It might turn out to be a problem in the medium term.
Yeah.
Alaszun really wants there to be something good in this hook shot. So he's going back to Swamp. He's going to get his sword finally.
And I would imagine we're going to see some rage slashes with said sword once he finds it.
Yeah. And then I kind of expect Alaszun's next play to be tomorrow.
Not surprise me in the slightest. Oh, forgot to grab the small key from the pot here.
Well, given that this is the double tip, you might have forgotten. That to me is understandable.
Yeah. not rage slashes, aggressive swag. Wow. Okay. So, Shady Force into Misery Mire here with the hook shot. We'll see what's lurking here. Not going to be able to full clear because, again, Mire Big Key is in Palace of Darkness. But can get to a pretty decent amount of the items here.
Yeah, and this is a place where Alaszun is now making up time. Though Mire is a fairly efficient dungeon to go mode on Shady Force's second trip, he's basically inevitably signing himself up for a double dip here. Whereas Alaszun's otherwise fruitless first dip of Pod is going to get him out of a double dip of Mire.
Also, being able to do a diver down quick setup here for left side of Swamp. If he gets the line up here, there we go.
I am quite glad that Alaszun didn't try to leave behind left side Swamp.
Yeah, that would have just been that probably would have been just game over, man. Game over.
And Alaszun is also going to save some marginal amount of time having hook shot and not having to loopy-loop this left side Swamp. I think it's less than the amount of time he's given away by not having a sword for the last 40 minutes. But, you know, take your bright sides when they come.
Yep.
I mean,
Shady Force, having completed the left side of Mire and gotten nothing. Is now going to complete the rest of what we can get to in Mire and hope something shakes out. Not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good, which is good for this race being interesting. So.
And Alaszun does indeed receive I hope received sword. Big key of Swamp found for Alaszun.
Shady Force just finishing up the accessible chest in Mire. Furnace Threats and Spike Room.
Okay. All right. T Sigma Tracker confirming that the software is deciding to take a little bit of a break from working properly here, and that yep, there you see it right there. Alaszun did in fact pick up that fighter sword on left side Swamp.
It's a good item. It's a good item until you know, people hate the fighter sword until they don't have it.
Yeah.
And this book is a interesting little fetch quest to niggle at their mind. I expect to see Alaszun make the same play that Shady Force did and immediately go check Bombo's tablet just right here.
We have seen all 4 bottles in the game now. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Shady Force forced a mirror out of Mire here. And I would assume he's going to head to Palace of Darkness here because that's pretty much all he has left at this point. Never mind. Dark Death Mountain.
I think fine choice.
Yeah. As soon as he flew to 1, I was like, oh yeah, duh. Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny.
That being said, well, and potentially Turtle Rock, depending on which reality. Again, you're dipping a dungeon without important stuff, but 4 Turtle Rock keys is a lot more keys than 1 pod key.
Yes, this is definitely true.
Um,
And four Turtle Rock keys kind of snuck up on me there. I have missed counting those apparently.
and I mentioned the Fetch Quest book a second ago.
Ice Palace Small on Ether tablet. So yeah, not gonna be needing that. Thank you.
And I wouldn't be, I'm not making the trip over there to check it anyway. But given the pod key situation, I'm highly suspicious that anything's on pedestal. The other actual use of the book.
You're gonna see the bomb strats for Harapot here, of course, because those boots are still missing in action. Also missing in action is the Tower of Hera Big Key. There's our Thieves Town Small that I thought we found an hour ago because I'm good at my job.
Well, they pay you the big bucks.
Yep.
You should feel ashamed. That Thieves Town Small being locked by the Hera Big means we don't have to worry about going to check. Zaga has a good point in that logically locks blind behind the Hera Big key.
Ew.
Yeah, but I was in the midst of saying we probably don't have to go check the Thieves Town Big Chest, but
Alaszun gonna take that sword and defeat Aghanim 1 now.
double dipping Aga Tower, man. Having gone all the way up to the second chest feels bad.
Yeah.
It's out of the way. It's out of the way, and it takes a while.
I guess Alaszun is hoping to find the boots relatively quickly so he can get to the Master's Sword he knows is on Lumberjack at this point.
Yeah.
But, This again is a situation of being in the commentator's booth and knowing that, the boots are nowhere to be found so far.
I mean, I think that the argument of you can come and do this whenever, and if you have the boots, you can run over here faster, is reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He knows that there's nothing in the 2 chests because he checked them already, or rather, there's nothing further in the 2 chests. He checked them already, and so I actually don't see what the rush is to get Aga 1 done here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was dancing around was, without knowledge of the boots location, this really doesn't need to be done right now.
It does give you some time to think, I guess, about what you actually want to accomplish, but you are going to have to do it at some point. But it would be faster with, some more swords and some boots.
Yeah. All right. Fire Shield and a Piece of Heart in Super Bunny. Chat pointing out Shady did skip Hera Basement, but could easily go back there and loop it in with Spike Cave after doing these checks here.
I don't know how likely it is that that's at the top of his to-do list, but
yeah, that is a bit out of the way for two more checks.
Depends if he has to take a bathroom break, I guess. Meyer.
I'll keep him Meyer. All right.
See if we can make this TR dip. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Apparently he opened it up at some point earlier when I was looking at Alassun's stream.
Yep. Yep. He opened it up as his way to get over here to Super Bunny and Hookshot.
I guess that works. Not routing.
Because he came over directly from Hera, so.
Yep.
Alrighty. So now making use of that fire rod and the hook shot to do the porch puzzle here relatively quickly. Still no boots, can't cane dash, feels bad. Small key to Skull Woods, not needed. Big key to Eastern, definitely need that.
That might make the trip here worthwhile and incentivize Shadyforce to head to the Pod Eastern area, knowing that he'll at least get Eastern done on the trip.
Looking at the board here, what we have left to find is we need Ice Rod to kill Trinex here in Turtle Rock. We need a sword, which we know where one is, but that's locked behind the boot. So we need one of sword or boots. We need
a stack of pod keys.
A stack of pod keys, including the biggest of pod keys.
And I think that's it in terms of no mode.
Well, so hooray.
That being said, there's still some if-then statements in there. And every chance that, for instance, the Thieves' Town Big Chest has something to...
Yep. Alright, so Shadyforce is going to go ahead and finish up Turtle Rock here, especially now having the ability to do so with that Ice Rod.
I think he would have gone through to Laser Bridge either way.
Oh, yeah.
At least this way he doesn't have to feel bad about abandoning at the door.
Making his way through what is a pretty on-rails dungeon. Even when you have the ability to go mode, Turtle Rock is kind of a slow-paced dungeon.
Yeah. Making a loop around to pick up the two checks outside here. Alaszun, going back to Skull Woods, this is one of the places where Alaszun can make up time, because Shady died to Moth, and then got very indecisive a bit. Not optimal. But if something good is on Moth, that is good news for Alaszun.
Alright, so Mimic Cave now for Shadyforce. And that's going to be just a piece of heart. Yeah, it almost looked like Shady kind of got stuck between thinking about going back and doing Mothula, and then wanting to grab more magic to be able to grab his flute at the time, because he was running low on magic to be able to do Bumper Cave. And then just kind of also had the issue happen where, by the way, there's one of our pod smalls in Turtle Rock Big, because of course, where he kind of just forgot that there was magic in Bumper, so...
It turns out you need the cape to do that in vanilla. And the game is actually quite good about giving you magic refills near where you need to spend magic. Like, everywhere the game actually expects you to need magic, there's magic pots all over the place. It's when you're trying to do things like Smaria Strats in Eastern that there's no magic pots to be had.
Holding out that fighter sword to kind of help line up hammer shots a few times as Alaszun. Going for hammer strats here. Again, trying to avoid hitting Mothula into the spikes to nullify damage. Kind of difficult when you're using the hammer because it does cause knockback.
Yeah, it's not trivial. The hammer from the side is a lot easier than hammer from the front or the back as well.
Unfortunately, nothing useful coming from defeating Mothula, just the map to Palace of Darkness.
Which is even more useless than usual because we already talked to Saha, and he told us that it was the Green Pendant. So,
speaking of useless maps, Ice Palace map on Laser Bridge. Pedestal read coming up. And shield upgrade. Master Shield.
So I know that Alaszun's in the area, and actually it's sort of totally reasonable to check the ped, but given the dearth of pod smalls, there just sort of can't be anything there.
Shady, buddy. I'm not sure I agree with this.
We're gonna do some fake powdering here, I think. So, a little known trick.
He doesn't have a ferry, and he didn't take the safety valve.
But he can fake powder with the powder. Little known trick.
Yeah. But this is by no means going to be a trivial Trinex fight that Shadyforce is going to attempt without the safety valve.
Mm-hmm.
So we did find the Tower of Hera big key in Laser Bridge, but we're taking a look at Shadyforce here.
Frankly, it's going pretty well.
Yeah.
The ice patch is annoying.
Not ideal.
It both lags the game and is actually annoying to deal with, but looks like not too much of a problem.
He did get one spin off there during the explosion. Avoids hugging Trinex. And a very well done fight for Shadyforce there.
Shadyforce showing off some reps playing swordless, I think, there. His internalized hammer fight's been pretty good. Alaszun showing off the game is supposed to be getting cutscene. So now with 2 pod keys in hand, you said about going to pod yet if you're Shadyforce? And the Eastern.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're starting to run out of places you can go, and this is, at the very least, you know you can clear Eastern now, and put another dungeon behind you.
Yeah. It's only 1 check, but it is something you're going to have to do sooner or later. And I don't know that he has really good other choices, right? Going back to Skullwoods, 1 check.
Yeah.
Catfish, I think Shady hasn't done yet. Okay.
Actually, now that you mention it, he has not.
So I think that with 2 pod smalls and a bow, seems like a fine place to go.
Yeah. Chat also pointing out, once he fishes out this Meyer key and the Eastern clear, he will be able to finish up the crystals and head to Gan's Tower.
Yep.
So will be, and that could contain our Palace of Darkness big.
There's enough checks in GT that at least some pod smalls are going to be up there.
Could also contain, boots and swords.
Things that we like. We like those things.
Yes.
I would, in fact, expect to see basically a GT full clear when they get access.
Ready.
Why, to some extent, we're seeing this immediate duck into the Eastern.
Yeah.
There's 27 checks in GT or whatever, and which is more than the ones you can get to in pod.
Yeah, this is fair. Our first male upgrade of the game.
Green is no longer sus.
I mean, he'll become super sus when he gets red mail, because, as everybody knows, red is always sus.
So this is Shady Force's first aggressive abandonment of a dip, which seems like it's going to work out better than Alaszun's leaving behind that sword earlier.
Alrighty, so Shadyforce is going to go ahead and get the Armos Knight's kill here. And yeah, this I kind of have to concur with you and chat here. This does kind of look like he's just going to rush Ganon's tower. Going for the quick kill here.
As someone that enjoys watching people actually play Ganon's tower, one of the things I like. Alaszun doing some bomb strat victories, which that capacity upgrade earlier paying off a little bit here.
And now mopping up with the bow and arrow here. I will point out that we did receive another pod small off of Armos Knights. Shadyforce still choosing to ignore that. He's going to go ahead and dive Ganon's tower here.
That's not his first stop. Well, I mean,
sorry, yeah, he still has to finish up at Skullwoods first. That's. I intellectually knew that, and yet I still said rush Ganon's tower. Ugh, boy.
I mean, he's rushing Ganon's tower. Just, he has to stop at the rest stop on the way there.
Yeah.
So because Shady has left behind the Meyer Big that we know is in pod, which is a reasonable thing to do, it does mean he's going to full clear Ganon's tower. And there's actually some world out there for Alaszun to make up some time if the pod unlocking is early in the GT basement.
So, see what happens. Yeah. If, however, as chat just pointed out, the Palace of Darkness Big Key is French vanilla, then this is going to get real interesting real quick.
Well, it's going to get real interesting eventually.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. Two Ganon towers full clear later. As both runners check for different big keys. Alrighty.
Alright, Shadyforce, now with Blue Mail and Spore Hearts, hopefully has a better time with Mothula this second time.
Mothula's RNG not deciding to oblige him, however.
That was,
there we go.
3 in a row counted there. The 4 blocks straight of the room, helpfully preventing spike damage.
I love how I complained about Mothula's RNG not helping Shadyforce out, and then Mothula's RNG basically went, go ahead and just hammer me in the face a few times. All right, we're good.
I mean, the good play is waiting until the opportunity, and then taking advantage.
Alrighty. Now Shadyforce has all 7 crystals. Gonna go ahead and head into Ganon's tower here. He is searching for Meyer Big and Pod Big. We know Meyer Big is in Palace of Darkness. So...
and sword. Shadyforce is also looking for a sword.
Yep. Or the boots, which would lead to Master Sword on Lumberjack, although you kind of feel a little bit dirty about that one if that's your chosen sword. Righty. Whoop.
Walking into cave doors is hard, man.
Yep. All right.
I'm not entirely sure about Shady's routing, why he's using the Super Bunny portal to get to GT.
This is how I usually do it.
Okay.
But then again, there's a reason why I'm calming the Invitational League and playing in the Open League. So...
So Alaszun is now going to do the long, linear clear that is Twitter Rock. He's not going to leave anything behind. So we can sort of stop paying attention to him for a bit. We know he's going to pick up Eastern Big and Ice Rod along the way here. So let's watch sort of in detail Shadyforce's GT clear.
So kind of a weird sense of I almost want to say Jameis move here, because Shadyforce is going into Gan's Tower looking for a big key.
Oh, Alaszun.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh buddy.
Also, he just save it quit from the light world to go to Mountain Cave when he has the flute.
Alaszun.
And now he's gonna flute from here? Oh, dude. Dude! It's only a minor detail, but, you know. Just giving away seconds here.
Yeah. Especially when we know that Ice Rod is just laying in wait in the Chain Chomp room.
Yep.
Yes, Shady is in fact looking for other items, but I was trying to make a Gangstar Big Key guessing game joke, and it kind of fell flat because of other things happening.
It's another pod small. And we know, because Shady's missing 2 items for Go Mode, and we know where one of them is, that he's basically he's full committed to clearing out GT basement. So
there's another sword there in the Firebar room in Gan's Tower.
Now we are down to exactly 2 items for Go Mode, being the 2 keys. The boots and the rest of the swords will be nice to have. And the silvers, for that matter.
So yeah, it's going to come down to this. Alaszun is currently mopping up Eastern Palace here. If he goes back into Pod and finds the Palace of Darkness Big Key French Vanilla, that's going to give him a lot of time to make up. Because
yes.
Shadyforce... Go ahead.
On the other hand, his odds aren't great, right? It's not just like, oh, we can go into Pod and find a French Vanilla Big Key. He only has 2 Pod Smalls. He's going to get 1 more off of Armos. Right?
And that's going to be it. That's going to be it, because there's silvers and there's the Palace of Darkness Big Key in Randomizer room here in Ganon's Tower. Unfortunately, Shadyforce is going to be full clearing here because he's also looking for that Meyer key. But that's pretty likely going to be game, set, and match here, unless something atrocious happens. Which, anything can happen in Rando, but when I say atrocious, it's the kind of stuff you don't wish on any runner of this game.
Shady's got enough safeties, he's got enough hearts, that he's not going to fail enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have to set up this bomb jump. I kind of find it kind of hilarious that so many runners don't know how to do this maze. They do this bomb jump even when the intended strat of just freaking solving the maze is actually faster there. People don't have to do the maze without the torch on.
Chat pointing out, we do have the Gan's Tower Big Key, which means we could have checked the Gan's Tower Big Chest.
It's marginal whether you should just do it on the way out, as long as you remember. Given that he's doing all of the checks anyway.
Ice physics, please. There we go.
Second doors are hard for shadyforce in the last few minutes.
Well, to be fair, that one was also ice physics.
Yeah. Not just walking into a wall for no reason.
Yep. Shady, as we've kind of iterated on multiple times, is just going to full clear Gan's tower here, looking for, like, what he's actually looking for is the Meyer Big Key. But yes, he'll appreciate, like, Tempered or, well, that's pretty much it. Tempered and the boots would give him the ability to go all the way over to Lumberjack to get a third sword, but eh.
I think if it's Tempered sword he does it, and if it's the Butter sword he doesn't, would be my guess. Though that's, given that he hasn't done victories yet, mostly.
But on the other hand, he has silvers, which is going to make Vitreous.
Yeah, that's fair.
A non-issue regardless, because that's yeah.
Oh.
You should be able to clear out. Well,
As
before we talk about all that, we have to
Execution.
talk about these Gibdos being jerks.
And out of magic now. I'm going to use my boomerang and I'm going to like it. So
Oh dear.
Shadyforce.
Oh dear.
God, Shady.
Oh no, there we go.
So you can tell that runners don't actually do the right side of GT very often. There's boots. So Shadyforce is going to go directly to upstairs, which is reasonable. He's leaving behind Tile Room, which is a, 1 in 216 check. I'm fine with that.
Because at this point, you got to also know that you've received a lot of Palace of Darkness smalls, and you haven't even touched Palace of Darkness yet.
Yeah.
So that's 6 more checks, and you're gonna need to go do it at some point anyway.
More than 6. Insanity.
Oh yeah, Kisandy. Oh my god. So 14. There we go.
Yeah, there's every reason to expect. At this point, certainly Palace of Darkness is more dense than Tile Room. While earlier, GT was more dense than Palace of Darkness. And given that we have to do upstairs in GT anyway, hold on. We might as well do that first. We're going to be sad if we have to make in Shady's mind, if we have to make a trip back up the mountain for GT Tile Room later, but you got to feel like you're a long way ahead to sit through Tile Room animation. Though the leaving behind of he's also made the same choice with respect to Tower of Hera Tile Room, which is even worse. So he's actually probably going to leave 3 checks up here on the mountain. Plan to come back for them eventually. He has to.
Ready. Soon back into Turtle Rock here. Did pick up the ice rod, going by his item counter in Turtle Rock. SpeedGaming tracker software. Taking. Oh wait, it's here. That's right. Duh. Never mind. Caffeine. It is 1 in the afternoon my time. If you could kick in at any minute now, that would be great.
Sorry that morning exists. Shadyforce making efficient work of the gauntlet. This is, pretty close to all the things you'd expect to have doing this. Slightly worse sword than usual, but certainly this is well within the muscle memory collection of execution.
So now we're going to see a small key to Ganon's Tower in Ganon's Tower. Classic.
The second last place that key could possibly be to put the top of GT in logic. Oh, apparently we're not interested in chess.
I think you this mistake. Like, wait a minute. There we go.
Correct decision, Shadyforce.
Yeah. Getting bullied a little bit by Moldorm 2 here. Nice use of the hook shot to prevent getting up smashed off the edge there.
These are some sweet hook shot spin strats. I don't think I've seen that before to try to get through Moldorm's body, but just twice in a row. So that was on purpose. And Turtle Rock takes a long time.
It does.
Shadyforce is basically full cleared Ganon's Tower in the time it's taken Alaszun to full clear Turtle Rock. Or not even full Turtle Rock.
Alrighty, so now on to the Geometry Wars is Shadyforce.
Aga now back with more ways for you to hurt him. Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. Seems counterintuitive, but you do you, Aga 2.
I can call him Agina a few more times if you like.
No, I'm good.
Alright, so having defeated Agina, Shadyforce is now back off Pyramid. But, of course, this being all dungeons, cannot do Ganon yet. So the big question is he going immediately to Pod, or is he going to go pick up his sword? We know that there is a sword at the Lumberjack tree, and having gotten his boots out of Ganon's Tower and his second sword, is he interested in the third sword? It's like we are running straight to Pod.
Well, I can see why, honestly, because, again, we were talking about item density, and he wants to be able to go to Victorious before he worries about, do I want Tempered for Victorious? So he wants to find that Misery Mire big key, and he knows it's not in Mire, because he's done everything he can do in Mire. He's done literally everything else except some really painful checks.
Yeah, the only decision is basically, do you go pick up Tempered before Pod? It doesn't help that much in here. The boss is not a sword boss for the most part.
It would help a little bit if we were talking without silvers.
Yeah.
But since we have the silvers, all it takes is one shot after the mask comes off for him to go down.
And Shadyforce skipping the front door. Save the key.
Yep.
Makes all kinds of sense. We'll see if he goes straight to the back. I mean, he's going to get the McMire big key on the way here, and I think he'll go straight to the back. Or rather, straight to the basement. That's go mode for Shadyforce.
Indeed, at 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 20 seconds. And yeah, he's just like going, yeah, nope, we're done here. Get me out of here.
Pretty good for Legends keys.
He is saying, get me out of here. I am done. I know where Tempered is if I want to go grab it, but even I have 3 bottles, a bunch of hearts.
I think the tempered sword is worth it. Let's make chat's been arguing about it a little bit, but have an argument. Continue the argument with yourself. Tell me, is Shadyforce going to go get the temper?
It's an interesting question, to be honest, because again, it without the silvers, it becomes I think it becomes a no-brainer for Vitreous, much less Ganon. But with the silvers, Vitreous is no longer that much of a threat. It's just more, how do you feel about Master Sword Ganon, which is still not a very fun fight, even with the silvers.
It's not just about how do you feel about it. I think that genuinely it saves time even with optimal execution, and it saves even more time with human error.
You also have to balance that against. You mentioned it's a pretty decent go mode time for all dungeons keys, but it is still on the slower side. You're probably starting to kind of side-eye the race time GG window at this point and go, okay,
Apparently, chat is timing things for me now. So the cost to pick up the tempered sword is 34 seconds. Can you save 34 seconds between Ganon and Vitreous with? Shady doesn't think so.
That's like right on the edge. Looks like Shady is at least going to just do Vitreous here without the aid of that tempered sword.
If he's not getting it now, he's not getting it.
Yeah.
That was the last reasonable time to do it.
So, Alaszun clearing Tower of Hera here. Do not believe he's gone into Ganon's tower yet, but I think he's set. I didn't see what his mirror situation is like, but I think he's setting up to clear this and then go into Ganon's tower.
Yeah, which is the right order, given that GT takes you away.
Yes.
Yeah, Alaszun's screwed.
It's just unfortunate. I think that decision to Alaszun, you read this, buddy. You know this isn't. Oh wait, no, he didn't. That decision to nope out after Cape, I think, just colored the rest of this race, and it just became a snowballing circumstance that just sunk Alaszun's chances in the sea.
And it might have been a deliberately high variance play. He thought he was behind, because he was. Right, which is he was slightly behind at that point. And so his instincts might have been correct, right? Like, Alaszun might have done everything decision-wise correctly from that on. I think that might not be true, but let's just pause it for a second, right? Even including the decision to abandon Swamp Palace, because he is deliberately taking the high variance play to try to make him. I do not have a good enough feel for the numbers to know if that's the right play, right? Like, that's one of those deep cut intuitions that the good players are much better at than the less good players. Alaszun, by the way, got past the Gypto switch much better than Shadyforce. Made up 30 seconds there.
Yep. All right, deja vu all over again. Here we are in the Ganon fight. I believe it is 12 spins with the Master Sword per phase here.
Shady Force not interested in Canis Maria block strat, but is interested in cape strats, which are more magic intensive. Maybe just doesn't know Maria strats.
Who does eat a fireball there, and takes some damage.
Got some stuff in bottles, and by some stuff I mean exactly a blue potion. That B no longer.
Just let it out. Go full meme. Why not?
If B strats worked on Ganon, that would be the best. But the developers weren't as meaty back then. Shadyforce is not. This fight is not clean.
No, this is not the cleanest phase 1 and 2 in the world.
I think today it would have been faster to go get the temperature.
Yeah. But again, at this point, you're kind of sitting there looking at the racetime.gg window, looking for the dot done, and that's probably coloring a little bit of your decision making at this point.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to race to the finish and hope your opponent has a worse fight than you.
I don't. Here's a question for chat. I actually don't know what the raw time difference is between a perfect Master Sword Ganon and a perfect Temperature.
Silver, one true weakness. Gonna miss the torch glitch here, but with silvers should be fine.
Yeah, no bother. Didn't get the Ganon freeze in a good spot to get a multi-hit there.
Not gonna get it here either.
Sorry, this is the fourth one.
Oh, that's also a fair point. I lost count of how many times he'd hit Ganon already. Alright, so Shadyforce has to survive the most dangerous 1x3 in all of Hyrule, and he'll take down first place. He does. Shadyforce finishes in first place with an official racetime.gg time of 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 8 seconds. And that is going to draw out a pretty much immediate forfeit from Alaszun. So GG's to both our runners on this.
And Shadyforce will be joining us for an interview momentarily. Congratulations, Shadyforce.
Thank you very much.
We were having a big debate just as you got to the end of the seed there, whether you would go get the Tempered Sword.
I probably should have, but I didn't.
Given the way the Ganon fight went, you definitely should have. But just in the dark, chat was quite divided as to whether it was a good play or not. We were arguing about it in the booth.
Yeah, so the problem is, like, I haven't practiced the Master Sword fight, because I did not expect to just have a Master Sword in a all dungeons key sanity seed. So yeah. I was a little bit rusty. Like, I was expecting, like, Gold Sword at this stage, because like, you full clear the whole seed in these, you know, so it's quite unusual.
Yeah, those sword locations were something. Especially when you could have seen the Lumberjack Sword immediately. Like, I guess I'll do Aga early and, go get that sword. And then not only were all the sword locations terrible, but the boot location was also terrible.
Yeah, yet another one where I'm walking for 2 hours. It's painful.
Sorry, we don't have all dungeons key sanity casual boots.
That's season 6 of the ladder. Get on that, Duncan.
I enjoy feeling good when the boots turn up, and I'm willing to walk around before that happens. The other critical moment in the seed, though it probably didn't feel like that to you, was the decision to do Swamp, and then after you found the cape, to continue doing Swamp. I'm assuming that didn't really feel like a choice. The seed was pointing pretty hard at Swamp Power.
To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of pointers. I just feel like, where's the best place I can go right now? And I couldn't really think of anywhere better. I think I had one key, either 1 or 0 keys for Pod. I really did not want to go to Pod.
Yeah, I mean, and by point, I kind of mean you could do Swamp, and there's a bunch of stuff there. But Alaszun got the cape and bailed from Swamp Palace, which meant that he didn't get his sword forever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I assume that you just didn't occur to you to bail after cave.
No, like I mean, well, I'm always a believer that if you find some good item in a dungeon, you should go deeper, because if the algorithm, I don't know if it works this way, but if the algorithm is putting some progression there, it means that it likes the dungeon as a progression spot. So there could be more. It's more likely that there's good items in the back. I plus it's key sanity. We're full clearing everything and double dipping everything anyway. So just do all the left side swamp, and then when I come back later with a hook shot, I do all of the back, and that felt tidy for me. So I kind of liked that.
Condolences, Alaszun. We were just discussing your Swamp Palace choice to bail after you got the cave.
That blew up in my face about as hard as it possibly could have.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. Like, I didn't feel great about my route at that point, and I knew where the flute was. The really dumb thing, and it's a really dumb reason, is I meant to do a one-off spike cave before I went to Swamp, so I could basically have it. Because I was basically figuring, okay, Lamp or Cape is in Swamp, and that's why we have the small key here. And I assume Shady was probably figuring similar. And then I sequence broke Death Mountain, go to Swamp, and go to Death Mountain and get the lamp, and it's like, okay, well, Cape's gonna be there since I have the flute knowledge.
Yep.
Except the flute didn't actually unlock anything more other than a couple checks in Aga Tower and logically Death Mountain, which I left Spike Cave on, and it was just it was a really dumb reason to go back, but it was one of those I kind of thought of yeah, okay, I should just bail here. And then by the time I was like, no, this is a bad choice. A little bit too late.
Yeah. Interestingly, that sword was both. You wound up double dipping Aga Tower, which is miserable, given how early you had the keys and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also not only double dipping. I ended up basically last locating Aga Tower too, because I had the keys, and so there's no way in the heck I'm going to go there without a sword if I have any other option.
Yep. That sword sitting on Lumberjack the whole seed was cruel and unusual.
That's one of the worst sword situations I mean, this entire seed was a giant pit of misery. But that's about as bad as I've ever seen it go. It was a slow seed, you're walking everywhere, you're swordless most of the time. The hook shot was late. The flute was relatively late.
You did get the mirror and the moon pearl immediately. So,
yes, you do get the mirror and the moon pearl immediately, but unfortunately, this is not cross keys, and so I care a lot less.
Yep.
I mean, fair, accurate.
I just wanted one more question to Alaszun while we're talking about routing. You did Aghanim Agina. We've been joking about this in the commentary off seed, and that's going to get me.
Thank you.
Dam to Agina, and then the Whirlpool to Ice Rock Cave, and left Mini Moldorm forever.
No, I didn't. I did Mini Moldorm to Dam to Agina.
You went back to Mini Moldorm 20 minutes later.
Sorry, I think you missed the joke. I kept calling the boss Aghanim Agina for the seed, and so Excalibur is friendly ribbing me about that.
Yeah, sorry. There's you. Am I misremembering, Alaszun? I swear you went Dam.
Yeah, I just took my VOD. I did Mini Moldorm and then to Dam to Agina. Because I had those flippers, which made it very, very easy to. Or where did I get them? Did we get the flippers in Mini Moldorm Cave? No, we had the flippers already. Yeah, we had the flippers, and so it made it very, very easy to just use the Whirlpool to get to Ice Rod Cave. So I ran the Mini Moldorm Dam Agina route instead.
Do you know how much time that saves to Whirlpool over there? Chat was impressed.
Starting from. It's a decent amount to Whirlpool over there. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people have started taking to that Mini Moldorm Dam Agina route, and then Orphaning Ice Rod Cave, is with the Ancilla Splash Deletion that they discovered. There's a lot more ways to get to Ice Rod Cave through that Whirlpool, since you can do it with bow, red boomerang, flippers, Canis Maria.
And you just had the flippers.
Yeah, and I had the flippers, so it's like, okay, well, this is a pretty easy choice on the way to do it.
So Shady Force's boss completion swords just went by 9 out of 13 with fighter sword.
The bailout of Turtle Rock right before Ice Rod doesn't feel bad at all to me.
Okay.
In response to chat. It was if the ice rods it was a very very small time cost for a huge potential reward of avoiding doing basically a second full clear of Turtle Rock. It was annoying the way it's set up because the ice rod was right there.
Were you in
literally the
TR
next
earlier
cast.
than me then?
But I had literally
was-
thought about it going into Turtle Rock because I'm expecting the Eastern Palace pick. I'm like, okay, when do I continue to do Turtle Rock? When do I bail? And it was literally, if it's anything after Roller Room, I'm done. Or I'm going to keep going. But if it's Roller Room or earlier, I'm just going to save and quit out and do Eastern first. Because that way, if the Ice Rods in the Eastern Big Chest are on Armos, I don't have to go through Turtle Rock twice.
Yeah, Turtle Rock being not a great go mode dungeon.
The pod play was just pure desperation.
Yeah.
That was. I feel terrible. This is a play that no reasonable person is going to make. I'm going to see if I can ass pull a big key out of the backup pod.
So I did hear shadyforce try to ask this while you were explaining the decision making on Turtle Rock. No, Alaszun did not go to TR earlier than you did. He was actually in TR right around the time you were doing Ganon's Tower.
That was his second trip there.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
But I think even the first trip was after Shady. Alaszun was...
I basically last location, or I didn't like the
White
last
behind.
location, Dark Death Mountain, but I basically cleaned up everything you could do not on Dark Death Mountain before I went there.
Yeah, I did most things, but I think I had left a few random locations.
It turns out that I think that the early game, the pre-Swamp Palace choices, Shadyforce was slightly ahead, and then leaving behind that sword in Swamp Palace was real bad and led to a bunch of really inefficient checks on Alaszun's side.
Yeah,
That-
I can see that
I mean,
for sure.
So died to cold stare because I was just...
Oh man.
I was frazzled. I realized, here's the real thing is that I was like, I can probably do, or there's a decent chance I can do Misery Mire right now. And so I fluted to Ice Palace to pick up a bow expansion and a bomb expansion since I'm on literally no weapons. And then I kind of stopped like, wait, no, I can't get into Mire. Oh, well, I'm just in Ice. Well, shoot, if I knew I was going to Ice, I would have picked up a second potion first just because I'm going swordless with no half magic, nothing. I'll probably be fine. I'm going to pick up something in Ice Palace, like a half magic or a bottle with a potion or, a hook shot or something. Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Shady, you had to make 3 trips to Skullwoods. You made one of the early bails you made is you left behind Skullwoods 2 and Skullwoods 3 when you were there with no way to get to Moth and a sword.
Yeah, I left the vanilla big key and also the item at the back of Moth. I think because I could get to that item, but I didn't have a sword, that's why I wanted to
I
leave the
don't
vanilla
blame
big
you at
as well.
all.
So I just did the front and not the middle.
I thought very hard about doing that, but...
as it happens, the bow was back there. And so that was one of the ways that you could have, things could have gone badly, especially given that the silvers were in GT. But you did make it back to Skullwoods in reasonably promptly for the second trip. Do you want to talk about why you went then? Did that stand out as a particular decision for you?
Oh, once I found a sword?
Yeah.
Well, it's just I can beat it now, and obviously I'm a bad Link to the Past player, and I died to Moth because I'm bad. But it's a fully clearable dungeon, and I wanted to go straight to Ice early because even though it's hard, it's a fully clearable dungeon. So, and I can clear the back of Skull, and I think I was going to combine that with Bumper Cave to get my cape, and then either go to Thieves Town or go to Graveyard Ledge. I think I found the Thieves Town big key there somewhere, so I ended up going to Thieves Town.
The Thieves Town big key was Cold Stare.
Yep, it was on Cold Stare.
Oh yeah, that's where I found it. Yeah.
So yeah, your obvious route there, having gone to Skullwoods, was Skullwoods Bumper Cave to get the flute. Thieves Town.
Ice is also just increased sanity is just a great play in general.
Yeah.
It goes from 3 items of vanilla to 8 items, and it's just like a really, really efficient fast 8 items that you had to do.
And it was a bit scary, but for me it was fine because I had the sword and the bombos and a green potion. I can easily see it's like a nightmare for Alaszun though. If he just uses all his fire rod shots and.
Yep. If I had a sword, it would have been. I had my green potion still, but even so, I don't have anything to corral. I missed corralling them with the hammer.
Yeah.
After unfreezing them at that point, it's just pain.
Having bombos and no sword is just miserable.
Oh,
the last
it was
time
ongoing taunt the entire seed.
The last seed I did that, I went into Ice Palace super scared, and I found the sword to use bombos in there, and I was super happy. But no such luck this time.
Is there another race for your teams this week, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Advertise for your teammates?
I believe it is Saturday, right? Let me check.
Yeah, it's Saturday. I want to
Like-
say at noon.
I can't remember the time.
All right. Well,
Let me see.
we promise these guys are gonna have a race at some point. You should look it on the schedule. But,
Oh no, 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So noon for me.
And how are you guys looking for playoffs?
Great.
I think we're both still in with a chance, although like it's such a ridiculous group.
Yeah,
it's so
you're both going to need some help, I think, because I did actually write all this information down in my pre-race notes and then never brought any of it up. But with the win, ShadyForce improves the spoilers to 7-4, 21 points, which puts them kind of in the mess of first, second, and third in the division, roughly, if I remember correctly. Never Do Chickens, now 5-6, 15 points. We're looking at 5th or 6th pre-race. I'd have to go back and look.
If we went out from here, we would have an outside shot of sliding in, I think.
Yeah.
I think even before this game, if spoilers went 3-1, they'd probably be pretty safe.
I think especially because we're playing one of the teams that are in the top 3 right now. We're playing 2 Pearl, 2 Furious, so we can get 1-1 or 2-0 against them. We'll knock them down and then probably get ourselves into a top 3.
There's also the fact that a couple of the teams that are up there have a couple of pretty tough matches, so you would reasonably guess they'll probably drop a match or 2, and so making up the ground is actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, for sure.
The mixed bag of fighting good teams last is that you can knock them out by beating them, but actually beating them is harder. Well, good luck to both of your teams later in the week and going forward. There are a bunch more races today, which you can check out on the schedule, including, I think, 2 or 3 races at 7:10 Eastern. Thanks for the race, guys. Thanks for the co-commentary, Westside Vandal. Thanks to our tracker, T Sigma. Have a good night, folks.